Welcome back to the Happy Martian Dragon Hammercast. All right, I got it correct this time. This is Ochammor, and I'm here with Drake. We are sitting on, looks like, round 2 of Fantasy Flight from, looks like, April 5th. Looks like we had an interesting time this night since Mr. Cooperation lost his first one, and I ended up pulling the same opponent that he had. I decided to jump into the camera with the same opponent. So it looks like we're actually going to be watching myself and Mr. X, also known now as Alex. So without further ado, let's jump in.
All right. So it looks like Mr. Ochammor, you're on the bottom, and Alex continues to be up top.
Looks like okay, and I'm starting at 8 chains.
Oh man, no wonder this guy just walked all over you too.
And no kidding, I don't think I realized that we had very similar chains starting off.
It does look like in between the first and second games, our Mr. X was able to track down a set of keys.
I believe that's a set I let him borrow.
So Mr. X will continue to rely on the kindness of strangers and and yeah.
Starting off with a Dust Pixie again.
Right. Ochammor going Shadows, playing a ghostly hand. Not doesn't get the full value. This is one of the very few times I've seen that happen, especially against an untamed deck.
Yeah, especially first turn. If they have anything left, after first turn, one card, they'll have one typically.
Good choice to play that Fear and then bounce your Dodger.
Yeah, because, regardless, Silvertooth comes in ready, so.
Yep, and I still have mixed feelings about Control of the Weak that early. That's definitely a card you want to get, 7 or 8 turns in, and you have a solid discard pile that you can work from.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'll tell you what, when I see it in my hand early, I absolutely hate it. I honestly hate seeing it in my hand pretty much at all, because we all know how terrible I am at calling a Control of the Weak.
Oh no, you are absolutely fantastic at playing Control of the Weak. Nice call, using that Lost in the Woods to get rid of your opponent's creatures. Ochammor laying the Mook. Just a tiny little crab. Wants to say hi.
And I'll tell you, I recently picked up a deck with, I think, 3 or 4 Murmooks. And when they all get out there, it starts getting crazy.
I believe it. Looks like you're gearing up to go Shadows again, especially if this deck performs the way that we've seen it perform in the past. Looks like he's gearing up for that big, gearing up for a lot of big disc turns, hopefully. And, we'll see if that works.
Well, this time he's got the Ember Imp protected. He's got a Toxin protected. With both of those out there protected, I'm going to start running into some issues if I don't deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of answers in your hand for this situation, unfortunately. Well, Ochammor, I'd ask you what you do in this situation, but I think I'm just going to shut up and let you do it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make him come at me. I'll get myself to 6 and say, okay, you deal with it.
All right, here's his one shot to save himself from that bait and switch. Let's see if he gets it. No, he does not.
Gets a Mr. Remuel out.
Interesting choice on getting rid of the Dodger. I would have gone for the Mermook.
That's what I. And you know, at this point, depending on what I had in my hand, if I was him, I would sit there and say, okay, well, if I can continue to play discards out of my hand, I'm just going to reap with everything and make you go after my pit lord.
Absolutely.
Let's go Sanctum. Bring out the Commander Remuel.
Did you miss the fact? Oh, okay, never mind. I was gonna say, did you miss the fact that he's on check? But
I will pass my turn.
I see your sneaky plan. You are a brave, brave man. Going against that toxin again. Still only a 16.5% chance that he'd be able to get that bait and switch, but that's more than I'd like to put against it.
And there it is.
Man.
Yep.
Yeah, there it was, right there. Very lucky on my part. Let's see.
Yep, and you can hear Mr. X just declaring how lucky he is. I'm sorry, 20%. You have 5 cards in hand.
Yes, that
I
would be
forgot.
20%.
You're still working
That's
on.
still pretty decent shot. Should have done something about it, but even if I'm trying to figure out if I would have been able to get rid of his pit demon any other way to get rid of that toxin, or if I probably should have just bait and switched. That's what I should have done.
I probably would have bait and switched and then just run my Shadow Self into
So both of our first creatures come in ready.
into the Pit Lord.
We have Fagin. I'm gonna run. Should run that backwards. It's all right. I'm gonna run Silvertooth into Pit Demon to kill him,
Yeah, like that.
and I'm gonna run Fagin into Ember.
Good choice. Good choice.
Fagin's one you don't usually see
I'll play Urchin
attacking much.
No, but it. If I need a Fagin to smash face, Fagin's gonna smash face.
Yeah, and I'll tell you strictly since obviously I'm playing, but when I play this deck, I don't let my speed sigil come out very often. It usually hits the discard pile, unless I need it in dire circumstances, which I believe this was one of them.
Sure. Very interesting choice to. I don't think I would have let the Urchin go back. I think I would have let the Fagin go back.
It's been a few weeks for me playing, so.
Yeah, well, no, I'm saying like.
I probably would have done the same.
A lot of times, the way I see it is, it's my responsibility having the card as much
But
as
you can absolutely
I'm like, okay,
do that as well. Our new player admitting that it was he'd only been playing for a couple of weeks.
That's right, Chase.
What did you say to me?
I believe I was explaining the fact that I was telling him that it's my responsibility just as well for my cards for him to do what my cards say, as him to pay attention as well. So there we go. That's why he did not send back the Fagin. He used the save the pack to get rid of him.
You wanted to kill the Fagin.
Yes.
That goes back to my hand.
Oh yeah, up tier.
Mr. X bouncing Speed Sigil, not realizing that his Murmook should have come into play ready.
Yep, as I missed that as well. See, now I have a feeling that that Speed Sigil is going to hit the discard again.
All right, let's see what he does. Is that a key charge? Yes. So you've got a key charge, a giant sloth, and a
full moon.
Full moon.
Yep. Not optimal, but
no.
Giant sloth.
It looks like you're going to hold on to that key charge either as pitch fodder for the sloth or hopefully to use it later, I'm assuming.
I'm sure at this point I'm going to discard it. I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I probably should hold on to that for the fodder for sloth, but not so much.
Dusk Pixie coming back out. Oh! What a witch. Well, this is starting to not look good for Ochammor again. Or look good for... Yeah. This doesn't look good for you.
No, not at all. And you can see me shuffling through my cards, trying to figure out if I can come up with a way to answer this. But once I'll tell you, once he gets going with this deck, it gets a little crazy. And that's an error that I did earlier. I should have used my cleansing wave a long time ago when the Pit Demon was out, and just get the one Amber off from the damaged Pit Demon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, yeah, Pit Lord.
Phase shifting into a Schuler, man. Even when the guy goes Logos, he wants to go Dis. Phase shift is such a great utility card.
But you know, throw that down now.
And he is absolutely correct. That is a huge missed play on his part, dropping that library access just about at the end of his turn. He's already played a phase shift into a Schuler and a Dexter, so that's a total of 3 cards that he could have drawn.
Well, at this point, it's like, even though that was a massive misplay, I don't think it's going to stop him. I mean, he's got a 1 key lead plus 3 Ember.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what Andy does.
I think I'm setting up for a Nimquid turn. Start clearing out his board.
Yes, you are absolutely right. This would have been a great time for a cleansing wave.
I know. Instead of discarding it last turn.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. If I were you, I would definitely want to take those Witch of the Wilds off the table. So I would probably take my Sequus and Remiel. Yeah.
Nimquid the Fair. So you destroy an enemy, repeat the card until the effect, until you control the same.
I would have given up my Remiel to get a little more utility out of that Nimquid.
And honestly, I think that's what the delay in the play was I was debating it.
Well, let's see what your thought process was.
I think that there is a Shield of Justice in there.
Take hostages. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
And really, I think I'm just going to do that for the Amber. And I'm
But
just going to
just to do it for the Amber, apparently.
capture one
Yep.
from Seckless, just because it is.
A lot of very interesting choices being made this game. We're definitely this is definitely entertaining because we're getting to see even how we as experienced players, our thought processes are continuing to evolve and continuing to advance and continuing to change with every game.
Definitely, and you know that's another thing that's kind of interesting about watching one of your games is that you get an opportunity to A, see what you do, and B, your thought process in the middle of a game is so different than watching it later. Because you're constantly going through a bunch of ideas, trying to figure out the best play, trying to constantly analyze what they have, what you have, and it just runs into the fact that watching it from a later perspective, you can see so much more.
Absolutely. I will say, hands down, going back and rewatching some of my old games, it has definitely helped me as a player get better. So, to anybody who wants to get better at Keyforge, or as the youngins say these days, get good, you gotta watch yourself.
Check yourself. I felt like that needed to be there. So. Yeah, and the game's pretty much over.
All right. Well,
there's the handshake. So that's Alex taking down two of us.
So I believe this was, if what you were saying is correct, and I believe it is, that this was the game that Alex basically was our special guest.
Yes, yeah, I was gonna say I believe the next two games should be him as well to see how he does. Since we figured, hey, he won the first game against one of our usual casters, and then won against the second one. He's now 2-0, so we might as well keep watching him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in that case, stay tuned to see how Alex does in the future.